I have these two ends here. They were a mill break that happened quite early in the ball. So you just cut off enough to weave in the ends. You cut the mill break out and then you weave in the ends when it's done. It's not, a mill break is a very normal thing in a ball of yarn, and so it just gives you a few more ends to weave. Now if you look really closely on this, I'm going to try to get it up here, not too close, but close enough. You can see that this strand is part of this stitch here, and this strand is part of this stitch here. If the knitting had continued without the break, this strand would have become this stitch going that way, and this strand would have become this stitch heading this way. That's the direction that you weave in your ends. It will close up the hole that's created by having these two strands heading that way. Even though the strand wants to pull this direction, don't listen to it. It needs to have that tension, that correct tension, that now you can see the bottom of the stitch looks like the bottom of a purl stitch. So since my thumb is on this stitch and we know that it's going this way, let's do it first. I'm going to rock my work around so I remember what I'm doing. I have a needle that is semi-sharp. It's not super sharp, but it's not a blunt. I like to split yarns sometimes as I'm going through things. So this is going to go this way. Its companion stitch is right next door. I'm going to move this out of the way. Its companion stitch is right next door. I could go up and do a duplicate stitch, but I'm not going to. What I am going to do is pick a spot right at the bottom to strand this, to just kind of anchor it. First thing I always look for is a place to anchor the yarn. This is part of a cable right here. So I'm going to anchor it in this cable part that's just the other side of the stitch that is its counterpart. So you can see if I move this out of the way, you can see what I did is I spanned over the stitch that that its counterpart is in, and just anchored it right there. Now I'm going to turn my work upward because I have these perfectly lovely vertical lines of stockinette. And the next thing I'm going to do is just dip it right up into that, the center of the V of the stockinette stitch. Okay, I'm looking back here, everything looks good back here. And since I'm in the center of a V of the stockinette, I can follow this yarn all the way up the full length of the needle by going from the inside of the V to the outside, back to the inside, wrap. Basically, I'm wrapping the needle around these stockinette legs as I go up. And I usually load the needle up nice and full, especially a blanket that's going to be getting a lot of use. I just went up the side, the same leg of the side of this stockinette stitch. I'm going to flip my work over because my rule of thumb is if you can't see the needle, you're not going to see the yarn. I don't see the needle, it's right behind the work right here. Giving good support to your work, pull that yarn straight up. And I absolutely love stranding through stockinette because it just flat disappears. You can't see it at all. Go from there to the outside of your work on the other side of this stockinette strand. Basically, we're going to do the same thing. And you can use a different stockinette. You can use the same one, but this time we're going from the outside to the in. I'm trying to get it so you can see it here. So I'm on the outside of the same V. I came up this leg, I'm going to go down this leg. I'm going to go from the outside to the in and wrap the legs of the stitches again. This time you can go back halfway or a little more. Sometimes it's just so much fun I keep going. And actually I'm going to do two more because that puts me right in the middle of a cable that I can feel on the other side. That was right behind there. This is a really great way to anchor in a stockinette on the wrong side. It's perfect for ribbing. If you're doing ribbing on a sweater, it's my favorite way to do it. I just bury the yarn into one of those purl ones on the right side, which gives me a nice knit one on the wrong side, and follow it up. Now we've got this other strand here, and remember the one that was over here we put this way, the one that's on this side is going to have to go this way, and you can tell by looking at the stitch, because here's my stitch leg, and I need to make the purl on the bottom look like it's supposed to, and I'm going to do that by bringing it around this way, pulling it to this side. And I'm going to bury it along here and then do the same thing. I'm going to take it up this stockinette V and then down either this one or the one on the other side.